All right, the mayor just finished up. It was a good speech. Overall, very positive, a lot of excitement, a lot of energy. There's some good projects in the works. I'm gonna get back to the office and summarize everything she talked about and try to break it down for you.
Okay, we're back at the office now. I don't do a lot of videos here, so please enjoy the 1990s aesthetic we got going on. I did paint the walls though. So back to the state of the city. Again, I thought the mayor did a great job. It had a very positive, very upbeat, very optimistic tone to it, and I thought that really resonated well. Some of the stuff she got into specifics on, some of the stuff she just kind of touched on, but we'll break that down. So for those who don't know, Mayor Sharon Tucker filled in for the late Mayor Henry. Rest in peace, he was a great guy, did a lot of good things for the city. Fortunately, he passed recently. So she filled in. She has a background with city council, so she's not new to this. She knows a lot of people, has a lot of connections. So one thing she mentioned was that Wallet Hub did rank us as the 8th best run city in America. I think that's worth noting. I know some of those rankings, it's like, where are these even coming from? But I'm assuming they did some homework on that. Can't be a bad thing. She started off by touting our parks. That's one thing I touch a lot. If you've been following my channel for a while, I really hype up the parks. You know, we were just very blessed to have them all over town. A lot of nature, a lot of fun things to do. She talked about renovations to Foster Park and Franke Park. Those are going to be pretty big. There's a lot of good things coming there. She also mentioned that all 6 of the big neighborhood parks are going to get new playgrounds this year. So another good thing, which, you know, I go to Shof a lot. They had a broken, I think at least one broken slide. The Parks Department does a great job, so that's not a knock. I mean, things wear out. So it's just time to re-up and, you know, put some new playgrounds in. She mentioned another $30 million is going into the next phase of Riverfront, and I'll be breaking down a lot of those projects. And she touched on some things that I have as well, you know, the Eddy, the Pearl, the Tree Line District. So a lot of new apartments coming to downtown, a lot of new housing. The more housing we have, the more people we have. The more people we have, the bigger tax base we have. And also the more housing, the more we can reduce costs. She did talk about MaMaJo. For those who don't know, that's the underground tunnel boring machine. That was a big to-do when I first moved back. Things have been kind of quiet on that, but I've actually been following it a little bit. She said that's built to last into the next century. So hopefully, you know, that was a good investment. She said it's already captured 15 million gallons of sewage. So for those who don't know, that underground tunnel boring machine created an underground tunnel that is then going to filter the river water, because what was happening is sewage was backing up into the rivers, which is yucko. Okay, she said we hit the 1 million trip milestone on the trails. So the trails have had 1 million people on them. They're extending Puffer Belly Trail. I think that was down to Washington Center. There was another trail going into the east side by Wheelock. She also reiterated that she's a financial conservative. So she said their first business meeting or budgeting meeting went really well, and they passed a balanced budget. So they're still gonna do all these projects, but we're not gonna run at a deficit. And they have money set aside for emergencies and things that they weren't expecting. There's gonna be a focus on public safety. She's a big supporter of police officers. She said 88% of the homicides that we have in town have been solved, or, you know, the cases have been closed, and crime was down 2% year over year. So that's a big deal. The fire department responded to 23,000 calls. That's quite a bit. And they're getting a new fire station in Waynedale. She touched on Wallet Hub. They rank us as the 3rd most caring city in America, and they base that off of how we treat those in need, access to charities, and money invested in charities. I guess those are the metrics that determine that. And we were the 3rd best, so that's great. The Daily Passport called us the most affordable vacation destination in the country. And you might be thinking like, well, who vacations in Fort Wayne? Fair question. But we do have a lot of sports and whatnot that brings people here. And last year we had $1.1 billion come in from out of town. So tourism is actually a big part of our economy, and there's more to come on that. We're gonna be doing some investments. So a couple things she touched on for what's next. One was mental health. She said a big part of the homeless population is a mental health issue, and they're gonna be focusing on how they can help treat those with mental health and also those who are homeless. There's a $3 million opioid settlement. I think that was federal money. She didn't say, I'd never heard of that before, but she said there was a $3 million opioid settlement. She's gonna be forming a committee to see how we should spend that money to try to battle addiction and help those that are struggling with addiction. She's also creating a young adult council, which is for those ages 19 to 26. I thought that was pretty cool. She wants young people's input. I think it's good to have a balance. You know, I think even though young people, like, you know, you think you know it all when you're young, and you get older and you're like, maybe I didn't know as much as I thought. I still think it's good to have buy-in from young adults and for them to have a voice. So I thought that was pretty cool. They're gonna focus on affordable housing. This one's gonna be tricky. I know some of the stuff they were talking about was like smaller homes with a smaller footprint, maybe cottage style homes. They're also looking to acquire some old legacy industrial property that's no longer in use. You know, we had like the Harvester campus. She didn't mention that, but for those who know, you know, International Harvester moved out of town and then a giant campus was left behind. I know some of that's going to the jail, the new jail, but so properties like that, they're gonna try to repurpose them as housing and try to help combat some of that housing affordability issue that everybody's feeling. For small business, they're trying to make some small business investments. She specifically mentioned like the Calhoun area, the Waynedale area, and East State Village, like in the 05. So they're gonna have maybe some grant money. She didn't go into specifics on that, but she did mention they're gonna try to support small businesses in those areas. She said that, so she's like, if you know me, which I was not familiar with her before she got into the mayor role, but she said like a big part of, you know, she said, my heart is with neighborhoods. I'm a neighborhood person. I love my neighborhoods. And with the sale of the land that the Google data center purchased, they're gonna use that to reinvest in neighborhoods, $1 million in each neighborhood. So these Fort Wayne neighborhoods are gonna form committees, like neighborhood committees, and then they're gonna get $1 million to reinvest into their neighborhood, and that'll not come from taxpayer money, that's coming from the sale of the land that Google bought. Lastly, she touched on the North River project that just got announced. I haven't even really dug in on that yet. I'm super excited. I'm definitely gonna do an update video on that. But there's a massive sports complex coming to the north side of the river, kind of by Science Central off Clinton, if you know where that is. It was interesting because I was really bummed. I thought that was where the soccer stadium was gonna go. And when they announced it off Bass Road, I was pretty disappointed. I just thought that was perfect spot for it. This might be even better. I mean, you know, soccer is only gonna bring so many people and so often, but sports, you know, indoor sports, we can do that year round. They said they're gonna host 27 weekend tournaments. It's supposed to be 160,000 square foot field house. They're gonna have, you know, all kinds of sports, basketball, volleyball, etc. They didn't really go into a lot of detail yet. And again, I'll dig in on more details. That's a $60 million investment. They're also gonna host some community events. And they said a big part of it is we're within 2.5 hours of 10 million people. So Indianapolis, Chicago, Detroit, Columbus. So we can kind of be the hub for a lot of these big cities to have these tournaments, and having it right downtown, that's gonna boost, you know, all the Airbnbs, the hotels, the restaurants, the retail, everything around there. I'm excited to learn more because it sounds like that's gonna be a home run. How it will compete with the complex out in New Haven, that has yet to be determined. I saw some quotes from the developer on the New Haven project. He wasn't thrilled about this announcement, but hey, competition benefits everyone. So that's a summary, state of the city. It was all good, all positive. Please subscribe to the channel and we'll keep you posted with more updates. Thanks.